This is my custom level for the experimental level design module. It's a level made in the Divinity engine for Divinity Original Sin 2. The level focuses on the use of elevation, branching paths and branching narrative storylines, and elemental surfaces, which ended up being too much. It ended up being too much to make in the span of the time and with my unfamiliarity with the engine. I think when I was starting to design it, I got very excited. I wanted to make something that really stayed true to the intricate design of Divinity. The way its combat can be done in so many ways with the different abilities, the different skills, the different elemental hazards and surfaces. I wanted to stay true to how they have a lot of branching, both in physically in the environment and the level and in its dialogues, and how consequences really matter in what you do and how you choose to resolve conflicts. And that led me to making a very extensive level design, which I had to repeatedly cut down on. And as I was starting to make the level, I realized that I wouldn't have the time for everything. It was one of those where I wanted this initial combat scene to start with a dialogue where the guards were essentially telling you to leave, and you could try and charisma your way to see their leader and have a talk with her, or you could choose to fight them, or you could leave after talking to them and try and find a different path going inside. But with how much I was trying to do at once, I now realize that what I should have done was to focus on my core mechanic, which was supposed to be the environmental surfaces and how items that were around an environmental hazards in the level could be used in combinations with these. I also feel like I didn't really get as much elevation into the combat area as I would have liked to. This archery tower is maybe the best example of it, but beyond the initial vantage point going down the hill, I don't feel like there is a lot of elevation. So I feel like if I'd focused a lot more on that rather than the branching of different entrances to the next area and branching in dialogue, I would have been able to create a much more polished piece. But I do think it's been nice working in the engine. I feel like I have learned a lot about the different sides to it. I found it very nice to use because I feel like a lot of the terrain shaping and asset placement reminded me of Unreal, and I also found it to be user-friendly in the way that it's got so much customizability and functionality in for things such as creating the characters and enemies and creating the dialogue options. Even though I didn't get around to making them, I did look up a good couple tutorials and found it to be quite neat how it was almost like having some Unreal Engine elements together with almost like an extensive library of functions in C#. Overall, I would say I'm quite happy with what I made. I do want to create it fully, almost keep working on it to get in all the elements that I wanted to, now that I have less time constraints on it. But keeping in mind going forward that scope is definitely important to consider when making something in a new engine, and especially something that is as intricate and dynamic as Divinity is. I also think testing would have helped a lot. I did get 3-4 testing sessions in, but definitely issues such as this came up at the very end where a player just used their jump down there in mid-combat, and I realized that the AI can't follow them because there's no ladder going up or down. And I didn't realize that was possible. I also had planned for this path under the bridge to be a place where players could walk by heading down vines one side going over to the sewer, but then realized that because of the way the AI paths are generated top down, that doesn't work.